Good question was about food combinations. And I always respected the natural hygienic people, had some great concepts with food combinations. I really only focus on two, bottom line, because if you follow those two, it really encompasses most everything. The first one is simple. Certain foods just simply digest faster than others. That's just the way it is. Fruits are one of the fastest digesting foods on the planet this side of melons. This is why you always hear that old saying, eat melons alone or leave them alone. Because like this morning I had watermelon. Now somebody said that I'm kind of fat for just eating blueberries and watermelons. I don't eat blueberries and watermelons. I eat grapes and bananas and things like that. I eat other things. I eat some cooked foods. I eat some vegetables. But there was a guy in town that had a bowl of oatmeal for breakfast, and he was about a 70-year-old dude. He had a bowl of oatmeal for breakfast, still a little hungry, so he asked his wife, he said, honey, you got any watermelon in the refrigerator? He's kind of craving some watermelon, you know. And so she said, well, yes, honey, I do. And so she brought him out a piece of watermelon, you know, and he ate the watermelon. He said, well, honey, I got to run to Home Depot, and I just need to pick up a few things. I'll be back in about an hour. Well, a couple hours went by, and he didn't come back. 3-4 hours went by, and husband no show, so she's getting concerned, and the phone rings. And, of course, it's the local sheriff's department. And the deputy said, you looking for your husband? Is this Mrs. Such? She said, yes, I am. He left this morning for Home Depot, and he hasn't been back. He said, well, I arrested him this morning for DUI. She said, what? My husband doesn't drink. He said, well, that's what he's been telling us, but his blood alcohol level is above the acceptable range. She said, that's impossible. Well, he took this to court and won his case, and he proved that certain foods digest faster than others, and that those sticky, gluey oatmeal is going to be in there a while, and that watermelon, it was going down quick. Well, there was nowhere to go. So the sugars fermented, and of course his blood alcohol and blood sugar went way up. And that's the thing with diabetics. You must watch how you combine your foods. So we create a lot of alcohol. I remember this case where this lady was driving on the wrong side of the road. She was in a van with a bunch of kids, and she killed a whole bunch of people. Herself, her friends, a bunch of kids. And so they're really reaming her for being a closet alcoholic. And her husband says she doesn't drink. She maybe smokes a little weed, but she doesn't drink. And then her attorney on news was saying something about she had big sores on her legs, and no one was relating this except me. I was saying, you know, this lady had big-time lymphatic and kidney and adrenal problems. She probably combined her foods wrong and poisoned herself. And another case that'll link to that is an airline crash down in Colombia. There was a pilot crashed a jet airliner into a mountainside, killed 69 passengers and 7 crew members. And I read about this in the newspaper. When the FAA investigated this crash, they couldn't find anything wrong. They finally thought that it was the pilot's breakfast that had created alcohol poisoning in him, and some guy, he lost his senses or something. And this is what the story was talking about. And it's like, wow. This is just another confirmation of when you combine your foods wrong. Let's say you had blood sugar problems, weak adrenals, and you're not metabolizing sugars. Suddenly you're combining these foods wrong. The biggest wrong food combination, in my opinion, is protein and starch. And the more sensitive you get to this, and the healthier you get, you're going to feel this every time. Is when you combine a protein and a starch, it's going to sit right there and it's not going anywhere for a while. That's basically mixing a need for an acid initially, and of course a base or alkaline digestive enzymes, and it's just going to sit there and sit there and sit there. And I've screwed up many a times. I'm sitting there eating an apple to help digest it down, because bad combinations, protein and starch, and that's what they assumed this pilot had. And I assumed that this lady could have, and it's a real factor, so they're smearing her name, but in reality, this could be an improper food combination problem creating blood alcohol and blood sugar levels. Those are facts. So I would separate my fast digesting foods with my slow ones. Watermelon, maybe with some fruit if you want it, but that'd be the extent of that. I really keep my melon separate than my other fruit, although I can eat fruit about 15 minutes actually after a piece of watermelon. Have known to put fruit shortly about 5 or 10 minutes after. If you have a vegetable meal, that's a whole nother game. Those vegetables take a long time to break down. You would never put fruit on vegetables. You never put fruit on your salad, or you're going to get fermentation of that fruit. You just got to have more separation between a salad meal than adding fruit, than having fruit and then adding a salad. Because fruit digests very quickly. That's the beauty of it. You know, most people like to have their energy in their digestive tract. Well, when you get away from that kind of thinking, you'll enjoy the fact that you have energy to be aware. You'll have energy to have in the day. You won't sit there and be digesting a breakfast while you're trying to do your work. Because there's your energy, not here. And so this is one of the most important keys about detoxification and wellness. You don't put foods in there that spend hours to digest and the body has to break them down. Where do you have that extra energy to heal or detoxify itself? Your body is quite an aware organism, and it needs energy to function. It needs energy to clean itself out, things like this. So food combinations, nuts and fruits, I've heard that's good. Okay, I mean, a lot of people eat trail mix, but you're going back to the same thing. A base and an acid digestive enzyme combined together. Don't really recommend it, to tell you the truth, but there's a lot of trail mixes out there that have these. I've been known to eat trail mixes. I get away from them because they put weight on me. And then everybody says, well, you're fat. Well, I'm just eating trail mix. Well, trail mix isn't healthy. This is nuts again. And you've seen a comment from a subscriber here about what she's experienced now with nuts. And it's just, when you get sensitive, man, all this stuff comes to light here. And I would have never known half of this had I not been a fruitarian. And I tell you, the rules are different. The rules of the road are different at each level. And no one that's a vegetarian can judge a fruitarian just by ideologies, because they've never been there. If you've never been there, I can't judge it. I say, well, I've never done it. I don't know. That's honest statements. People are so ready to make statements about fruitarianism that's never been there. Those are the ones that have no credibility. People don't have any credibility to me that's never been there. I mean, how could you? You're speaking from an ideology or a conditioned thought or propaganda. You're standing on a false mountain, and there's no reality. Those are the people that have no credibility to me. If you've walked the walk, then we can talk. I was talking to Yaz yesterday from Thailand, and he's been going up on a mono diet. And he said, my God, I can't believe the difference. And it is true. You know, you have to realize that everything has a level of consciousness to it. So when you mix too many levels of consciousness together, it can also, those of you that are getting up there on these higher levels are going to get real sensitive. Babe's getting sensitive. You know, she's heading toward her, 600th day or whatever it is, or 500th day. I mean, you get real sensitive to lower forms of vibration. And especially when you're mixing them all. You know, I always push the rainbow salad. In other words, a salad with all kinds of colors and beauty in it. But in reality, at a certain level, that's good. And at another level, the body can't tolerate all these different levels of consciousness. And each has its own digestive time, its own digestive energy needs, and everything else. So simplicity right now in this world is key for all of you to keep everything simple. Your desires simple, your thoughts simple, your diet simple, everything simple. Because the mind is caving in on itself.